Hi, it's Rita here from M5 Property Addicts. The name says that. Okay, today I wanted to talk to you guys about how do you get to make R1,000,000 out of property. Now, there are 4 ways you can do it, and I'm going to deep dive into each one of those ways. And I'm also going to give it to you step by step exactly the different things that you're going to have to do to make the R1,000,000 from that. From those 4 ways, right? So each one of the ways, you're going to have to do certain tasks and different things to get to that R1,000,000. You can't just do nothing, then you're going to get nothing. So I'm going to explain to you exactly how that's broken up and what you can do to get to your million. But while I'm doing that, I'm going to do that actually, I need to show it to you on paper so that you can see it properly. And while I'm doing that, please hit the like button so we can spread the money and we can get more people to invest in property. Okay, let's get to it. And we've been doing property investment since 2016. Now, it's important for me to tell you this because we have gone through this life cycle of property investment a few times, right? And we've seen how other people make money out of it. And we've played a part all throughout this life cycle. And I thought, you know what? It's actually so easy for other people to get into it as well and make money, even if it's not from a part of it, but from every step or just one step as you maybe have the skills or whatever to get into. But now to really understand the 4 ways and how you can make money, you need to understand the life cycle of property. Now, I know, it looks very, very simple, right? Find a property, you buy it, you renovate it, you rent it, and you sell it. Okay, but this can get very complex very quickly, and that is where the money is in that complexity. Because if something was simple, anybody would be doing it, and you wouldn't be making $1,000,000, you'll be making $1,000. So when you find a property, this is where all the strategies that's in property really comes in, right? So you can look at, for instance, finding a property. And I'm going to break each one of these steps down. Flipper, and you just want to flip properties. You're going to go from find, buy, renovate, and sell. You're going to skip the rent stage. If you're doing renting, you're going to go find, buy, renovate. And in renting, you're going to go different types of renting, right? You can have back rooms, you can have just single families, you can have blocks of flats, you can have students, you can have Airbnb. There's a million ways to rent out a property. I'm going to keep it super, super simple today, and I'm just going to talk about finding a property, buying it, renovating it, right? Renting it out to different kind of people, but I'm not going to talk about all those different ways. I'm just going to talk about, like, in general, what it's going to rent out for. And then also at the end of 20 years, selling the property, right? Together with this, I have to also talk about the case study, because to calculate the actual amounts that you're going to make to get to that R1,000,000, it needs to be based on something, right? So what I've used in my case study that I'm going to be showing you is the property. So we're assuming we're buying a property, we're talking about a property that's worth R1.5 million. Renovation of 500,000 rands. Our gross rental, what is gross rental? For those guys that don't know, that is before you pay anything, right? So don't pay the bond, you haven't paid anything yet. 50,000 per month from your tenants. And then we're assuming a rental profit of 20,000 rands per month, right? Yes, these type of numbers are possible. We've done it before. So this is typically what we do in our business, right? We're also going to be assuming 100% bond, which means that we're going to go to the bank. I'm going to get that 1.5 million rands on a bond. Okay, we're going to be renovating it, and then we're going to fund that renovation from a passive investor or from an angel investor, whichever way you want to call that. And then I can actually show you then, once we know these parameters, how much money you're going to make throughout the process. Right, so first of all, there is the first step, finding a property. Now, when you find a property, you can find a property as an agent. This is if you are a qualified agent, right? Oh, by the way, I also didn't talk about ways to make money as a professional in law, eviction specialists, those sort of things. I didn't go into this. This is just from an agent point of view and from a normal person, anybody in the everyday type of person that can do it. Okay. First one is as an agent, you can make a commission, right? Or you can make a sourcing fee. The sourcing fee is not like a commission because you're selling to another investor, not selling to just an ordinary person out there looking to buy a property. That's more for the agent that's going to earn commission. The sourcing fee, specifically when you find a property, you calculate the numbers, you can show the investor where he's going to make money, and he buys that deal from you. And then the commission, whatever, is still going to happen later. So, and I'm sure there's also, guys, please, as I'm going through this, I'm sure there's a million other ways that you can think of. And please put that in the comments. You know, we all want to learn and share from this video. So please add it in the comments. All right, so we've got these two. Now, how much can you actually make from it? So typically, a sourcing fee, you can make 50%. We charge like 50% of the profit for 1 year. So if you're selling it to someone that's going to be renting the place out, you calculate what is the profit going to be for the year. Now, we already said the profit is 20,000 per month. So times 12 divided by 2 is going to give you 120,000 rands. That's what you can typically charge for sourcing fee, for selling this deal to someone else, to another investor. As an agent, you're going to make 5 to 10% of the purchase price, and I just made it like the 5%, which is going to get you 75,000 rands. Right. The next one is when you buy a property. Okay, so where can you make money when you buy a property? You can make money in bond origination. Bond origination is a fee that the bank pays the person that submits your bond to the bank. So for instance, you use someone, normal people will use someone to buy a property, okay, and they submit their documents to a bond originator that takes all of that information and sends it to all the banks and get you the best rate. You don't pay them. Why don't you have to pay them? Because the bank pays them. So that is called bond origination, and they actually get a fee for that. Then you can be an angel investor. So we said the angel investor is somebody that gives you money. They don't generally have an impact on anybody or a say, or they don't really want to be part of the project. They just give you the money and they want a return on their money. Then we have an equity investor, who's somebody that says, I'll give you the money, but I want part of the profit. I don't just want my interest or whatever on my money. I want part of the actual profit of the property. Okay, cool. Then you can also get a raising fee. So if you are somebody that finds that 500,000, I go out and I find 500,000 rands for someone else's project. Okay, so not my project, somebody else needs 500,000 to do this project. I can charge a raising fee, and I can charge him for giving him that connection and bringing that money to the deal. Now, what are the amounts that you can get? So bond origination generally pays 1% of the purchase price. Can go up, can be more. When you're just starting out and you're new and they're testing you out and it's lower amounts, it's less, but round about 1% of the purchase price. So in this case, that would be 15,000 rands once off, right? As an angel investor, if your angel investment can go up, it can be much more. If you're doing a flip, it all depends on the duration of the project, etc. I just worked on an average amount that we normally work on, and that is 14 to 18%. On 500,000, I just used 14% for illustration purposes, and that will get you 70,000 rands per year. Now, the equity investor that I explained, you can get up to 20,000 rands per month. 50% of that is my split in the profit, and it's times 12 months, so that's 120,000 per year. And then the raising fee, of course, 3% of the 500,000 rands, which is 15,000 rands. On the next step, you can get a project management fee or contractor's fee. So, and generally, when a contractor renovates for you, they will charge you a project management fee. But as a normal person, what you can do is you can manage all the work to be done. So you can get a painter, you can go out and buy the paint for that investor that's buying the property from you or something like that. And you can actually make that money yourself as a project manager of that renovation. Okay, that could also be coordinating of the architects if there's plans to be done, buying furniture, if it's student accommodation, it can be anything really. It's all around coordinating, making sure that the renovation gets done and that the property becomes operational. Right. So in general, that's either way around about 10% of renovation. Some contractors will charge more, some will charge less. It all just depends on the type of work and what they will be doing and how long it is and that sort of thing. Right, so that will give you around about 50,000 rands once off. The next step is now while you're renting out, and in this case, I'm working 4 ways that I've identified. So one is rental profit. This is where that 20,000 rands after you've paid all your expenses, that would be your profit, and that you make per month for as long as you have the property. And then also your tax benefits. Now, tax benefits is when you can deduct a whole lot of expenses off that income. So instead of having to pay taxes, it's like a little bit of a hidden benefit income stream. There's section 13.6 that actually, you get paid for building and for owning a house. So there's all kinds of initiatives and things like that in terms of tax that you can also get for an income. But you only get it obviously if you're the owner. Then rental management fee. This is for when you are renting out the place and you're managing all the tenant issues. So it might be that there are tenants, to invoice them, making sure that you're collecting the rent. They're calling you in the middle of the night. You're organizing maintenance people to come in. Rental management, as we know it from an agency. And then also the agencies and things can also sometimes, they'll charge both, sometimes just one or the other, depending on if you're managing yourself. They might charge you a placement fee, which is just to find a tenant, which involves all the marketing, finding the tenant for you, and doing the incoming inspection. Then after that, you manage it yourself. What can you make from that? Right, so rental profit in this example is going to be 20,000 times 12, 240,000 for the year. Tax benefits, here I cannot give you an actual amount because that all depends on your tax rate and the way that you've structured your portfolio. So unfortunately, I couldn't put an actual rate to that. But then rental management fees, we generally pay 8 to 10% of the gross rental towards management fees, and that would be 50,000. I use 10% here, times 12 is 60,000 per year. Then we have a placement fee, which is normally 1 month's rental, or it can be part of a month's rental or so on, but generally 1 month's rental would be 50,000 rands in this example. Right, so the fifth and last step would be selling, and this is where we're talking about capital growth, amortization, and if you're the agent, commission. Right, so as capital growth, okay, that would be over time the value of your property will naturally appreciate. As long as the area is a good area, that appreciation can go, that growth can be quicker or slower. It just depends on the area where you buy. But generally speaking, again, property values actually double like every 10 years, right? But in this example, I took the capital growth to basically double as well, but over 20 years. So then we have amortization. Now, what's amortization? That is when your bond actually goes lower and lower over time. And generally, we all in South Africa take what? 20 years as the bond repayment term. So after 20 years, typically your tenants would have paid off your bond. So you'll see capital growth. After 20 years, your property value doubled, so you gained 1.5 million. Amortization is your 1.5 million bond got paid off, and basically your gain from your bond being paid off is 1.5 million. And then commission, of course, I just took 5% again, and in this case now the value has doubled, so I worked 5% on 3 million, which is 150,000 rands. So the first two ways that you can make a million is through being an angel investor and the equity investor. So the angel investor will get you 70,000 rands per year. Now they don't have to do anything. So this is literally passive income. And obviously they still have that 500,000 rands that they initially invested. But that 1.4 million is over and above that. So that's going to get you 1.4 million after 20 years. And then an equity investor is a little bit better off because he gets part of the owner benefits, right? Because he has equity, he's part owner. So the equity investor gets 120,000 rands per year, 750,000 rands of the capital gains, and 750,000 rands of the amortization. And that would give you 3.9 million rands after 20 years. 1.6 million rands if you are an all-inclusive service provider. As the owner of the property, you have a total of 7.8 million rands that you would have gained from this property. This is, I think, very, very clear why people like to buy properties and own it over a longer period of time. The longer you own it, the more money you're going to get through all three of these levers. Yeah, right? So there you have it. 4 ways that you can make R1 million from investing in property. And the ideal is really to play in all of these spaces. And ultimately, whatever you do and whatever money you make, try and buy yourself that property so you can be an owner and you can create that wealth and that legacy for your family over time and really truly benefit from property. And get into property and make it happen. And if you don't know how to do it, you can't do it yourself, of course, there's M5 Property Varsity that you can go to. The link is in the comments, and you can get us to assist you to really benefit and make money from this process. And if you don't want to do it yourself, you just want to be that equity investor or the angel investor, we help people with that as well. Hello, are you still here? Well, if you're all the way here, right to the end, you might as well subscribe, okay? Because you're going to love all our content. Just subscribe. Do it now. Bye.